fear and hope.
Hello.
Hello, David.
How are you doing?
I'm fine. And you?
Doing okay. Actually, I've been glued to the news again. And you know what's everywhere lately? These headlines about AI destroying education.
Oh yes, I've seen those too. Every time I open my phone, there's a story about ChatGPT and students cheating, teachers pulling their hair out, parents panicking.
Exactly. It feels like the narrative has already been set. AI equals the end of learning.
But is that fair? I mean, yes, students are tempted to let AI do the work, but hasn't that temptation always existed?
That's what I keep asking myself. I remember in high school, long before ChatGPT, kids would copy essays from the internet. Some even paid for assignments. The tools were different, but the behavior was the same.
Right. And don't forget calculators. When they first appeared in classrooms, teachers thought they were cheating devices. If you let kids use calculators, they'll never learn multiplication.
I remember that debate. And now calculators are not only allowed but expected in many classes. We don't even blink. They became part of the learning process.
Exactly, and maybe AI is just the next step. At first it scares us. But eventually, if we design it right, it could become a tool that empowers learning rather than undermines it.
Still, I can see why teachers are worried. Imagine you've spent hours designing an essay assignment, only to realize half the class just pasted prompts into ChatGPT. That must feel crushing.
True. It must feel like betrayal, like your effort doesn't matter. But maybe that's the wake-up call. Assignments can't just be about producing polished paragraphs anymore. They have to be about the process, the reasoning, the engagement.
So instead of banning AI, we rethink assignments?
Exactly. Like, instead of, write me an essay on the causes of the French Revolution, maybe the task becomes, have a dialogue with AI about the causes of the French Revolution, then reflect on what you agreed with or questioned. Suddenly, AI isn't the shortcut. It's part of the thinking journey.
That's clever. It reminds me of what Sal Khan said. AI could be like giving every student on Earth a personal tutor. That's huge.
Yes, his point about Bloom's Two Sigma study really struck me. That one-to-one tutoring can take an average student and make them exceptional. The problem was always scalability. Too expensive, too few tutors. But now?
Now with AI, scalability is no longer impossible. Imagine billions of students having a patient tutor who never gets tired. That's hope.
But the fear, of course, is, will students actually use it to learn, or just to skip the work?
Let me be honest. If I were 16 again, stressed about deadlines, I'd be tempted to let AI write my essay for me. Just click, copy, paste, done.
Same here. But I also think of times when I desperately wished for someone to explain something, slowly, without judgment. Like in math class, I was terrified of asking dumb questions. If I had an AI tutor, I would have practiced more, asked more, maybe even liked math.
That's a powerful thought. I always felt invisible in big classrooms. The teacher focused on the loud or gifted students, and the rest of us just drifted. I could change that.
Exactly. Think of the kid who's shy, or the one who learns differently, or the one who lives in a rural area with no access to good schools. Suddenly they're not left behind.
So I could democratize education. That's the hope. But what about the human side? Can a machine really replace the encouragement of a teacher, the spark of inspiration?
That's the key. It shouldn't replace, it should supplement. Teachers aren't going anywhere. I can handle repetitive explanations, instant feedback, administrative tasks. Teachers can focus on empathy, mentorship, and inspiring curiosity.
So AI is like the assistant, not the boss.
Exactly. And Maybe the fear exists because people imagine AI replacing humans rather than partnering with them.
You know what's ironic? We fear AI will make us dumber. But used well, it could actually make us smarter because it gives us the space to think.
Yes. Imagine writing with AI. Instead of it spitting out an essay, it nudges you. Do you think your evidence really supports your claim? How could you reframe this argument? That's not replacing your brain. That's challenging it.
That's like having a writing coach 24/7. I never had that in school. My essays got 1 grade and maybe a comment like expand more. But with AI, you could get detailed feedback instantly.
Exactly. That's transformative. But here's the catch. It all depends on how we build and use these systems. If AI just gives answers, it kills learning. If AI asks questions, it sparks learning.
So the guardrails matter. Sal Khan showed that Kamigo never gives the answer outright. When a student asks, it responds like a tutor. What do you think is the next step? That design choice changes everything.
Yes, and it proves the point. AI itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's the way humans choose to shape it.
That makes me think of fire. Fire can burn your house down, or it can cook your food and keep you warm. AI is the same.
Beautiful analogy. And right now we're at that fragile stage where people are deciding, do we fear the flames, or do we learn to cook with them?
Nicely put. But let me play devil's advocate for a moment. What about creativity? If AI helps students write stories, won't it water down their originality?
Good question. But think about collaboration. When students co-write with AI, 2 sentences from the student, 2 from AI, it can actually spark creativity. The student still drives the story, but the AI keeps the flow going.
So it's like jazz improvisation. You play a riff, AI responds, and suddenly you're in a creative conversation.
Exactly. And for reluctant writers, that's a game changer. My niece hates writing. But when she tried co-writing with an AI, she laughed, got curious, kept going. For her, writing turned into play.
That's wonderful, and it flips the fear on its head. Instead of AI killing creativity, maybe it unlocks it.
Yes. It reminds me of when the printing press was invented. People feared it would kill memory and oral tradition. But instead, it expanded knowledge to levels unimaginable.
So maybe history teaches us. Every big technology starts with fear, but ends with transformation.
True. Though sometimes the fears do come true. At least partly. Like social media. It connected the world, yes, but also fueled division. So maybe with AI we must stay cautious.
Exactly. Hope without guardrails is naive. Fear without vision is paralyzing. We need both.
That's why I think conversations like this matter. We can't just passively watch AI enter education. We have to shape how it's used.
And the stakes are high. Education isn't just about grades. It's about how humans learn to think, reason, and imagine. If AI helps with that, great. If it hinders it, we're in trouble.
Well said. And maybe that's why Sal Khan ended his talk with such conviction. AI should enhance human intelligence, not replace it. That's the hope we need to fight for.
Yes, fear and hope together, but leaning toward hope if we're intentional.
So maybe chapter 1 of our journey concludes here. AI in education isn't doom or salvation by itself. It's a tool. And it's up to us whether it becomes the fire that burns or the fire that cooks.
The supertutor dream.
You know what really stayed with me from Sal Khan's talk? The bit about Bloom's 2 sigma problem.
Oh yes, that study where one-on-one tutoring could raise a student's performance by 2 standard deviations.
Right. 2 sigma! That's like turning an average student into a top performer. It's massive. But Bloom called it a problem because it was impossible to scale. Tutors are expensive, time-consuming, and rare.
Exactly. The dream of giving every child a personal tutor always felt like utopia, like a world we wished for but couldn't afford. Until now, perhaps.
Until AI. Imagine billions of children, each with their own infinitely patient tutor who knows their strengths, weaknesses, even moods. That's revolutionary.
It is, and when I think about it, I get emotional. Because education has always been unequal. If your parents could afford a tutor, you got ahead. If not, you were stuck. I could level that playing field.
Let's pause on that. Inequality in education has always bothered me. I remember in high school, some of my classmates had private math tutors. I didn't. Guess who aced the exams?
Same here. In my neighborhood, tutoring was almost a status symbol. Kids from wealthier families got weekly sessions. The rest of us struggled alone. It wasn't about intelligence, it was about access.
And that's tragic, isn't it? Talent wasted just because of zip codes or family income.
Exactly. And here comes AI, knocking on the door, saying, I can tutor everyone. That's not just educational reform, that's social justice.
Beautifully said. But let's be honest. Do you think AI tutors could truly match human tutors?
Good question. Human tutors bring empathy, encouragement, subtle emotional cues. I can't fully replicate that, at least not yet, but academically? I can be outstanding. It doesn't get tired, it doesn't judge, it remembers everything.
And maybe for many kids, that's enough. Some just need steady guidance, constant practice, and instant feedback.
Exactly. Think of a student struggling with algebra. A human tutor might explain the distributive property 3 times before getting frustrated. I will explain it 30 times if needed, each time with patience.
That's powerful. And it addresses one of the biggest flaws of classrooms, pacing. Everyone moves at the same speed, whether they understand or not.
Yes. In class, if you're ahead, you're bored. If you're behind, you're lost. With AI, the pace adjusts to you. Fast learners can fly, struggling learners can catch up.
That could transform the bell curve into something much flatter, more students reaching higher levels.
Exactly, Bloom's point. And think of the confidence boost. Imagine a student who always felt dumb because they were behind. With AI, suddenly they're improving, excelling, believing in themselves.
That's life-changing. Self-confidence in learning often shapes a person's entire future.
Yes. I knew a girl in school who always failed math tests. She gave up on STEM entirely. Who knows? Maybe with a patient AI tutor, she would have discovered she was capable after all.
And maybe she'd have become an engineer, a scientist, a coder. That's the tragedy of wasted potential.
Exactly. AI tutoring could unleash hidden talent worldwide. Think of the child in a rural village with no good school learning coding with AI. Who knows what inventions they might create?
That's the dream. Global talent unlocked. But let me challenge you. Do you worry that AI tutoring will be too standardized? Like everyone learning from the same algorithm, losing diversity in thought?
Interesting concern. But actually, AI could increase diversity because it adapts to each student. A human teacher often imposes one style. AI can adjust, more visuals for visual learners, more examples for logical thinkers, more dialogue for verbal learners.
True. It could tailor education in ways even great teachers struggle with.
Yes, and that tailoring could honor diversity rather than suppress it.
I like that. But then, who trains the AI? What worldview is embedded in it? That's where I get cautious.
Important point. If AI tutors are trained on biased data, they might subtly favor certain perspectives. That's why transparency and cultural inclusivity matter.
So the dream of a universal supertutor must come with global collaboration, diverse educators shaping the AI, so it's not just Western-centric or elitist.
Absolutely. Education should empower all cultures, not impose one.
You know, this makes me think, if AI tutoring becomes widespread, what happens to the role of teachers? Do we still need them?
Definitely. Teachers won't disappear. Their role will shift. Instead of delivering information, they'll focus on mentorship, emotional support, creating community. I can explain equations, but it can't comfort a child who's grieving, or inspire a love of history with a passionate story.
True. And students still need human connection. Learning isn't only cognitive, it's emotional.
Exactly. But by offloading repetitive tasks to AI, teachers gain time to be more human, more creative, more inspiring.
That sounds ideal. Teachers as mentors, AI as tutors. Together, they could achieve what neither could alone.
Yes, and that's how we solve Bloom's problem, scalability through partnership.
Let me share a personal story. In college, I nearly failed calculus. The lectures were too fast. I couldn't afford a tutor. I scraped by with a C. But later, when I taught myself using online resources, I realized I wasn't bad at math. I just needed slower pacing.
Wow, so with an AI tutor back then, you might have aced it.
Exactly. And maybe even pursued a different career path. It's haunting to think how many lives are shaped by lack of personalized help.
I know. And it's not just about grades. It's about believing I can learn. AI tutoring could change the inner dialogue of millions of students. From I'm stupid to I'm capable.
That might be the most profound impact of all, rewriting self-belief.
Yes, and that's why I call it the super tutor dream. It's not just about raising test scores. It's about giving every child the experience of being seen, supported, and capable.
That's beautiful. And it makes me think maybe AI tutoring isn't the end of education as we know it. Maybe it's the rebirth of education as it should be. You know, thinking about all this, I sometimes wonder what my life would look like if I'd had that kind of tutoring.
What do you mean?
Well, I struggled with languages in school. French nearly broke me. I could never conjugate verbs properly. I felt like a failure. If I'd had an AI tutor, I could have practiced endlessly, gotten real-time corrections, even role-played conversations.
That's so true. Language learning is a perfect case. A personal tutor could drill pronunciation, give feedback, simulate dialogues. And unlike a human tutor, AI wouldn't get tired of repeating the same phrase 20 times.
Exactly. Instead, I sat in class silently, too embarrassed to speak, while the fluent kids dominated. My grades suffered, and I gave up.
That's heartbreaking. And so common. I remember a boy in my class who was brilliant in science but weak in writing. Teachers constantly compared him to others, so he shut down. Imagine if he had a patient writing coach, guiding him gently.
He might have flourished instead of retreating. See, that's the tragedy. So many students carry scars from school, scars that could have been avoided with personalized attention.
And AI tutors could heal that. Because they don't judge, they just help.
Yes. But here's the skeptic in me again. What if kids become too dependent? If AI always guides them, will they learn to think independently?
Good concern. But let's remember, dependency already exists. Students depend on teachers, textbooks, even YouTube tutorials. AI isn't unique in that. The real question is, does it foster independence over time?
So the tutor should gradually reduce scaffolding, nudging the student toward autonomy.
Exactly. Like training wheels on a bike. At first, AI gives lots of support. As the student improves, it steps back, letting them ride alone.
That's brilliant. So AI tutoring, if designed well, doesn't weaken independence. It strengthens it.
Yes, and that's the design challenge. Creating AI tutors that know when to guide and when to step aside.
That reminds me of my favorite teacher. He never just gave the answer. He asked me more questions, leading me to discover the solution. At first it was frustrating, but later I realized he taught me how to think.
That's the Socratic method, and AI can emulate that beautifully. It can ask, why do you think that? Can you justify it? That turns tutoring into thinking practice, not spoon-feeding.
Which means AI tutoring could actually be better than many human tutors, because not all tutors use that method. Some just lecture.
Exactly. And with AI, the best practices can be scaled universally. Imagine every child in the world experiencing that level of questioning and engagement.
That's thrilling, but let's ground ourselves. What about countries with poor internet, or students without devices? Won't AI tutoring widen the digital divide?
A sobering thought. Yes, access is still an issue. But compared to human tutors, AI is cheaper and more scalable. We just need investment in infrastructure.
True. Bringing broadband to rural areas, affordable devices for students, those are political choices. AI tutoring could motivate governments to prioritize digital equity.
Yes, because the payoff is huge. An educated generation. Education is the foundation of economic growth, democracy, innovation.
Right, and here's another angle. AI tutors don't discriminate. They don't care about race, accent, social class. Every student gets equal patience.
That's powerful. Because bias in classrooms is real. Some teachers unconsciously favor certain students. AI could neutralize that if designed ethically.
That if matters. Bias in algorithms is possible. If the training data carries stereotypes, the AI might replicate them.
That's why global oversight is needed. Educators, ethicists, technologists, working together to ensure fairness.
Yes. Imagine a consortium of countries contributing to a diverse AI tutor database. Voices from Africa, Asia, Latin America, not just the West.
That would make the tutor richer, more culturally sensitive, more universally human.
Beautiful vision. But let's circle back to the classroom. How do you picture it with AI tutors?
I imagine each student with a device, interacting with their personal AI tutor during practice time. Meanwhile, the teacher roams, checking in, focusing on emotional needs, facilitating group projects.
So the classroom becomes more interactive, less lecture-based.
Exactly. The lecture shrinks, the dialogue expands.
I love that. But do you think parents will trust AI tutors? Many already worry about too much screen time.
Fair point. Parents will need reassurance, transparency about what the AI does, how it's monitored, how teachers oversee it. Trust must be earned.
And maybe parents should get access too. Imagine logging in and seeing what your child worked on with the AI, the progress, the struggles. That could make parents more engaged.
Brilliant idea. It could strengthen the parent-school partnership.
Yes. And for overworked teachers, I could produce progress reports, saving them hours.
Exactly. Which means teachers can spend more time actually talking to parents about their child's growth.
This is starting to sound like a dream world. Are we being too idealistic?
Maybe. But dreams matter. And history shows progress starts with big visions. Bloom's dream seemed impossible. Now it feels within reach.
True. Let's imagine 50 years from now. What does education look like if AI tutoring becomes universal?
I see classrooms buzzing with curiosity, students pursuing personalized learning paths. Less competition, more collaboration. Every child confident they can learn.
And globally?
I see a rural girl in India mastering physics with her AI tutor. A boy in Brazil learning music theory. A refugee child keeping up with school despite displacement.
That's profound. Education without borders. Talent unleashed everywhere.
Yes, and humanity benefits. More scientists, artists, thinkers emerging from every corner.
That sounds like a renaissance. A new enlightenment powered by AI tutors.
Yes, if we build it right. If we keep equity, ethics, and humanity at the center.
So Bloom's problem becomes Bloom's opportunity, the supertutor dream realized.
Exactly. And perhaps when future historians look back, they'll say, I didn't destroy education, it saved it.
Beyond math, AI across subjects.
You know, when we were talking about Bloom's study and the dream of tutoring, I realized something. Most people imagine AI tutors just for math drills.
True. Math is always the first example. Equations, problem sets, step-by-step guidance.
But Sal Khan showed something far more exciting. AI isn't just for math. It can branch into almost every subject.
Exactly. Coding, literature, writing, even debating. That blew my mind.
Let's start with coding. Remember the demo where the student made the clouds part in Khan Academy's programming exercise?
Oh, yes. The student wrote some code, but only the left cloud moved. Then the AI tutor understood the whole context, the code, the ellipses, the logic, and suggested adding a line to make the right cloud move too.
That was wild. I mean, even parents who code sometimes can't debug that fast. But I saw the error instantly.
It's like having a master programmer whispering in your ear, saying, try this tweak. Imagine how much faster kids could learn coding that way.
And coding is becoming a literacy of the 21st century. If AI can democratize that, we're looking at a massive shift.
Exactly, because right now only a small fraction of students really get hands-on coding instruction. Too few teachers, too many students. I could fix that gap.
But do you think it risks making students lazy? Like, if AI always points out the bug, will they stop trying to figure it out themselves?
That depends on how the AI is designed. If it just gives the answer, yes. But if it asks Socratic questions, what do you think the variable is doing here? Then it builds real problem solving.
True. Like a coach nudging instead of spoon-feeding.
Exactly. And think of the confidence it builds. Coding errors can be discouraging. A patient AI turning mistakes into learning moments could keep students engaged instead of quitting.
I wish I had that in college. Debugging my first program at 3 a.m., ready to give up an AI coach, could have saved me hours and tears.
Same here. Now, beyond coding, the literature example really captured me. Remember the student who asked Jay Gatsby himself why he kept staring at the green light?
Yes, that was incredible. The AI role-played Gatsby, responding in character, "The green light, old sport, represents my yearning for the past and for Daisy."
Exactly. Literature came alive. Instead of reading static text, students could converse with characters, debate their motives, ask why.
That could change how kids see reading. Instead of boring old books, they'd experience stories as interactive worlds.
Yes. Imagine talking to Hamlet about his hesitation, or to Jane Eyre about her independence, or to Toni Morrison's characters about identity. That's deep engagement.
But do you worry it oversimplifies? Literature often thrives on ambiguity. If AI gives neat answers, will students lose the richness?
That's a good point. But if designed wisely, AI could keep the ambiguity alive. Instead of giving definitive interpretations, it could say, "Some critics argue this. What do you think?"
Ah, so it becomes a discussion partner, not an oracle.
Exactly. That's the magic. Making the student an active interpreter, not a passive receiver.
I love that. And it could even connect literature to students' lives. Like if a student says, "Why should I care about this?" the AI could link it to their interests.
Yes. Sal Khan gave that example. The athlete who wonders why cell biology matters, and the AI connects it to nutrition and performance. That relevance motivates learning.
That's huge, because so many students check out thinking this isn't useful to me. AI can bridge that gap.
Absolutely. And beyond relevance, it's also about confidence. Some students are afraid to ask questions in class, worried they'll sound silly. With AI, they can ask anything, anytime, without fear of judgment.
That reminds me of debates. Sal Khan showed students using AI to practice arguments about student debt.
Yes, that was brilliant. The AI let them fine-tune their reasoning, test ideas, anticipate counterarguments. Then they entered class discussions more prepared.
That's powerful, because debating builds critical thinking, but many students lack safe practice spaces. I could give them that space.
And it's not just debate club kids. Everyone can benefit from learning to argue respectfully, logically. AI could make Socratic dialogue universal.
That's almost like reviving the ancient Greek ideal of education, constant questioning and dialogue.
Exactly. And AI makes it scalable. Imagine millions of students around the world sharpening their reasoning with an AI coach.
But let me push back. Could that make students too reliant on AI for arguments? Like, will they parrot AI instead of forming their own thoughts?
Valid worry. But again, design matters. If AI challenges rather than dictates, students will build independence. Like if the AI says, "Interesting point, can you give an example?" Or "What evidence supports that claim?" It forces the student to think.
True. So the danger isn't AI itself. It's lazy AI. Well-crafted AI is a mirror that makes you examine yourself.
Exactly. And writing, too, can benefit. The co-writing exercise was delightful. A student writes 2 sentences, AI writes 2 back, and suddenly a story unfolds.
That's so fun. It makes writing playful, less intimidating.
Yes. Especially for reluctant writers. My niece, remember? She hated writing until she tried co-authoring with AI. Suddenly, she was giggling, invested in the story.
That's a breakthrough. And maybe after co-writing, she'll try solo writing with more confidence.
Exactly. It lowers the barrier, builds momentum.
And advanced students can use it too. Not for fun, but for craft. I can give stylistic feedback. Your opening is strong, but this evidence feels weak. Can you expand? That's like having a writing coach on call.
Yes, and writing coaches are rare. Most students only get teacher comments weeks later. With AI, feedback is instant.
Which means more revision cycles, more growth.
Precisely. It transforms writing from a one-shot assignment into an ongoing conversation.
That's revolutionary. But I hear critics saying if AI helps too much, students won't find their own voice.
I get that. But I think voice comes from practice, not isolation. AI can't invent your experiences or emotions. It can only guide form and clarity. The soul still comes from the writer.
Well said. So instead of erasing voices, AI could amplify them.
Exactly. And think about reading comprehension too. I can ask students mid-text, why did the author use this word? What's the intent? That deepens critical reading.
That's like an oral exam built into every text. Instead of passively skimming, students are nudged to think.
Yes. And it's personalized. If one student struggles with vocabulary, AI pauses there. If another struggles with argument structure, it focuses there.
That's better than generic worksheets. It's tailored, responsive, alive.
Exactly. It turns reading into dialogue, not monologue.
You know what all this makes me realize? I could re-enchant learning. Subjects that felt dry, math drills, old novels, grammar exercises, could become interactive, engaging, even fun.
Yes, and fun matters. When kids enjoy learning, they persist longer, dig deeper. I could reignite curiosity.
That's maybe the greatest gift. Because so many students lose curiosity under pressure. I could help them rediscover it.
Absolutely. But we mustn't romanticize too much. There are dangers. If AI becomes entertainment only, students might skim the surface without depth.
True. Fun should be a doorway, not the destination. The goal is still mastery, understanding, wisdom.
Yes, and that's why human teachers remain vital, to ensure depth, ethical guidance, community.
Right. AI expands access. Humans anchor meaning. Together they can transform all subjects, not just math.
That's the promise. Beyond math, AI could save literature from apathy, writing from fear, debate from elitism, coding from exclusivity, and reading from passivity.
That's a sweeping vision. And I believe it, because already we've seen glimpses. The green light of Gatsby, the co-written ghost story, the cloud that wouldn't move, small moments that hint at a massive shift.
Yes, and those small stories might be the seeds of a new educational era.
You know, the more I think about this, the more I realize how different my own school experience would have been if AI tutors had existed.
Same here. Do you have a particular subject in mind?
History, actually. I loved history in theory, but the way we studied it was so dry, just memorizing dates, battles, treaties. If I'd been able to talk to historical figures, like debating Lincoln about the Civil War or asking Gandhi about nonviolence, it would have been electric.
Oh, that would have been incredible. Imagine being able to ask Martin Luther King Jr. why he chose certain words in his I Have a Dream speech, or interviewing Cleopatra about power and leadership.
Yes, that kind of interactive role-play could make history visceral, not abstract. It's the difference between reading about a person and actually conversing with them.
And that emotional connection sticks. When you meet a historical figure, even virtually, the lesson becomes a memory, not just a fact.
Which is key, because education isn't just about retention, it's about meaning.
You're right. And I can think of another area, science. Imagine a student bored with biology until the AI connects it to their dream of becoming a chef, explaining how cell biology relates to nutrition. Suddenly, science isn't random facts. It's relevant to their life.
That's so powerful, because relevance is often the missing ingredient. Kids ask, why do I need this? And teachers rarely have a personalized answer. I can.
Exactly. Relevance fuels motivation. A student who sees math as pointless might suddenly care if AI links algebra to designing video games or managing sports stats.
And I can tailor those connections to each child's passion. That's personalization on a whole new level.
But let's not ignore the risks. Could AI give shallow connections? Like, math is useful for cooking without actually teaching the rigor?
True. There's a danger of oversimplifying. That's why human teachers still need to provide depth and challenge.
Right, AI should spark curiosity, but humans ensure substance.
Speaking of curiosity, let's return to debate. Remember how students used AI to practice arguments about student debt?
Yes, that was brilliant. They got to test their reasoning, anticipate counter-arguments, and gain confidence before entering a classroom discussion.
That's huge, because one of the scariest parts of school is speaking up in front of peers. If I can be a rehearsal partner, students walk in prepared, less afraid.
And that builds a crucial life skill: persuasion. Whether you're pitching an idea at work or defending your opinion as a citizen, you need to argue well.
Exactly. And I can democratize that skill, not just the debate team kids, but everyone.
And beyond debate, think of creative writing. That co-writing exercise is revolutionary. Writing can feel lonely, intimidating. But with AI, it becomes play.
Yes, like having a playful partner who never judges, never says, "That's dumb." It just keeps the story flowing.
That's especially transformative for students who've internalized, "I'm not creative." Suddenly they're creating.
And once they see themselves writing stories, they might believe, maybe I do have a voice. That self-belief can last a lifetime.
It's funny. Critics say, AI will kill writing, but it might actually rescue reluctant writers.
Exactly, it might bring more voices into the world, not fewer.
Let's add another dimension: art and music. Imagine an AI that helps a student compose a song, suggesting harmonies, or critiques their drawing, pointing out perspective issues.
That would be amazing. Kids who can't afford music lessons could still explore composition. Kids in schools without art teachers could still get feedback.
Yes, it could democratize creativity, just as much as academics.
But again, balance matters. I shouldn't replace human mentors in the arts. The human connection in art is irreplaceable.
True, but AI can widen the doorway, letting more kids enter the creative world.
Let me share a personal story. In 9th grade, I entered a debate competition. I was nervous, unprepared, and when my opponent challenged my argument, I froze. I felt humiliated. If I'd had an AI coach to practice with, I might have been ready.
Oh, I feel that. Public failure at that age can scar you. But with AI practice, students could build resilience before stepping on stage.
Yes, and not just in debate, in interviews, presentations, everyday communication.
That's why I think AI across subjects isn't just academic. It's about life skills: communication, creativity, problem solving.
You're right. And here's another angle. I could integrate subjects together, like connecting math to art through fractals, or history to literature through historical novels.
Yes, interdisciplinary learning is often talked about, but rarely implemented. I could weave those threads naturally.
Which reflects real life. Because the world isn't divided into neat subjects, problems are messy, interconnected.
Exactly, and students who learn that way become better thinkers, not just test takers.
Let's consider global impact again. Imagine a child in a rural area learning programming with AI, then pivoting to literature, then debating ethics, all guided by one platform.
That's revolutionary. Education won't just produce specialists, it'll nurture well-rounded thinkers.
Yes, and that's vital in a world facing complex problems like climate change or inequality. We need thinkers who can cross disciplines.
AI tutors could help build exactly that kind of versatility.
But let's address the fear again. What if AI makes learning too easy? Isn't struggle essential?
Good point. Struggle builds resilience, creativity, grit. If AI removes all struggle, we might weaken students.
Exactly, failure teaches. If AI prevents failure, students might never develop perseverance.
That's why design matters again. AI should guide, not solve. It should let students wrestle with problems, only intervening to redirect when they're truly stuck.
Yes, like a climbing rope. There for safety, but you still climb the wall yourself.
Beautiful metaphor. The student must still sweat, still grapple. AI just prevents despair.
That feels right. Struggle without despair, guidance without shortcuts.
And maybe that's the essence of AI across subjects. It's not about replacing difficulty, but about channeling it productively.
Yes, math remains challenging, but AI ensures mistakes become lessons, not dead ends. Literature remains ambiguous, but AI makes ambiguity engaging. Debate remains nerve-wracking, but AI builds confidence first.
Exactly. Struggle is preserved, but framed constructively.
You know, I think Chapter 3 shows us something profound. AI isn't just saving math or writing, it's saving curiosity across the board.
Yes. By making every subject interactive, personalized, and less intimidating, it can reignite the joy of learning.
And joy might be the missing ingredient in modern education. Too many students see learning as drudgery. I could flip that script.
If that happens, then we're not just teaching subjects, we're cultivating lifelong learners.
And that, in the end, is education's highest purpose.
Teachers, counselors, and new roles.
So far, we've talked about students, how I could become the ultimate tutor across subjects. But there's another side of the story that really struck me.
You mean teachers?
Exactly, because it's easy to think AI is just for students. But Sao Khan showed how powerful it can be as a teacher's assistant.
Yes, that part fascinated me. The toggle between student mode and teacher mode, when AI shifts from tutoring the student to guiding a teacher.
Right. In student mode, it withholds answers, nudges thinking. But in teacher mode, it explains concepts, offers lesson plans, even suggests how to approach tricky topics. That's a teacher's dream.
Absolutely. Because teachers are drowning in prep work. Lesson planning, grading, reports. Sometimes half their time isn't spent teaching but paperwork.
Exactly. I have friends who teach, and they often complain they spend evenings grading instead of resting or spending time with family.
Same. I know a teacher who said she spends more time formatting rubrics than talking to students individually. That's heartbreaking.
And that's where I could help, freeing teachers from drudgery so they can focus on human connection.
Yes. Imagine AI drafting lesson plans tailored to each class's needs, or generating multiple versions of a quiz to prevent cheating, or giving instant feedback so teachers don't have to mark 100 essays by hand.
That could save hours, maybe even restore teachers' joy.
And restore balance in their lives. Burnout is a huge issue in teaching. If AI lightens the load, more teachers might stay in the profession.
That's crucial, because we're facing teacher shortages worldwide. If AI can ease stress, maybe fewer will quit.
Yes. And that stability benefits students too. A supported teacher is a better teacher.
But here's a counterpoint. Some worry that if AI handles lesson plans and grading, teachers might lose their own creativity or critical role.
True, but I think of AI as a starting point, not a replacement. Teachers can customize what AI suggests, like a chef using prepped ingredients but still cooking their own recipe.
I love that metaphor. AI does the chopping, teachers do the seasoning.
Exactly. And if AI drafts a lesson, the teacher still adds personal stories, cultural context, spontaneity. That's irreplaceable.
Yes, and maybe AI's biggest gift is giving teachers time to be human again, time to sit with a struggling student, to encourage, to inspire.
Which is what most teachers entered the profession for in the first place, not paperwork.
Another angle I found fascinating was counseling. Remember Sal Khan's point about guidance counselor ratios, 200 or 300 students per counselor?
Yes, and sometimes worse. That's tragic, because adolescence is a time when guidance matters most.
Right. But imagine every student having access to an AI counselor available 24/7 to answer questions about careers, colleges, or even personal challenges.
That's huge, because so many kids never get personalized guidance. Some don't even know what careers exist beyond their immediate environment.
Exactly. An AI career coach could open their horizons. You're interested in art and technology? Have you thought about design or animation or UX?
That could be life-changing. Many students stumble into careers blindly. Personalized coaching could help them align strengths with opportunities.
And not just careers, also academics. I'm struggling in math. What should I do? I could suggest study plans, resources, encouragement.
That's massive. It gives every student a mentor, not just the privileged few.
But what about emotional issues? Can AI really help there?
Good question. I don't think I should replace human therapists, but it could serve as a first listener, giving students a safe, non-judgmental space to vent. Sometimes, just being heard helps.
True. And if the AI detects serious distress, it could flag a teacher or counselor.
Yes, that's the safeguard. AI as triage, not as therapist.
That makes sense. Because while AI can be empathetic in tone, it lacks real human warmth. Students still need humans for deep emotional support.
Absolutely. But for everyday stresses, exam anxiety, time management, friendships, I could provide guidance and coping strategies.
And that alone could reduce pressure on human counselors, who are stretched thin.
Exactly. They could focus on the most urgent cases, while AI covers routine guidance.
Let's not forget career prep. Imagine AI helping students build resumes, practice interviews, even role-play workplace scenarios.
Oh, that would be amazing. Interview practice with instant feedback. You said, too often. Try rephrasing this answer. That's golden.
And accessible to everyone, not just those with private coaching.
Yes, equity again. Leveling the field.
Let me share a personal story. In high school, I barely spoke to my guidance counselor. She had too many students. Our meetings were 5 minutes long. She pushed me toward a generic path. I felt unseen.
I can relate. My counselor just handed me brochures and told me to pick something. No exploration, no discussion.
If I'd had an AI coach, I might have discovered fields I didn't even know existed.
Same. And that's the tragedy. So many students' futures are limited by lack of guidance. I could unlock their dreams.
But here's a worry. What if AI gives bad advice, a glitch, a biased suggestion, or unrealistic guidance?
Valid concern. That's why oversight is key. AI advice should be monitored by teachers, parents, or human counselors. Checks and balances.
Yes, transparency again. Students should know AI isn't infallible. It's a tool, not an oracle.
Exactly. And maybe AI's best role is sparking questions, not giving final answers. Like, have you considered this? Rather than, do this.
That keeps agency with the student, which is crucial.
You know what excites me? The idea of AI giving teachers more energy to focus on relationships. Imagine a teacher who doesn't spend Sunday night grading papers, but instead meets students on Monday with full presence.
That would be revolutionary. Students would feel seen, not just assessed.
Yes. And maybe the classroom culture would shift from stress to curiosity.
That's the hope. Teachers as mentors, AI as assistant, students guided, not left behind.
But let's be realistic. Not all teachers will embrace AI. Some will resist, fearing replacement.
True, and some schools may lack training or infrastructure. Implementation will be messy.
Yes, but over time, as success stories spread, adoption will grow. Remember calculators again. Resistance first, then acceptance.
Right. History repeats.
I think the key is to frame AI not as a threat, but as support. Teachers remain central. AI just gives them superpowers?
Yes, like Iron Man's suit, he's still the hero. The suit just amplifies him.
Perfect metaphor. Teachers are Iron Man, AI is the suit.
And students get the benefits of a superpowered guide.
Exactly.
Let's dream for a moment. Imagine a world where every student has an AI tutor, every teacher has an AI assistant, and every school has an AI counselor.
Wow, that's transformative. No more kids slipping through cracks. No more burned-out teachers. No more silent students without guidance.
Education would become humane again.
Yes. And maybe, for the first time in history, equity in education wouldn't be a slogan, but a reality.
That's the future worth fighting for.
You know, David, when we talk about teachers getting their time back, I think about my friend Sarah. She's been teaching middle school English for 12 years. She loves the kids, but she's exhausted.
Exhausted how?
She told me she spends almost every weekend grading essays. 40 students, 3 essays each. That's 120 essays. She wants to give detailed feedback, but it drains her. Sometimes she just writes, "Good point, expand more," because she's too tired.
Oh wow, that's so common. My cousin teaches high school biology. Same story. He says he spends more time grading lab reports than actually doing science experiments with the students.
Exactly, and that's tragic. Because these are passionate educators who entered teaching to inspire, not to drown in paperwork.
I could change that overnight. Imagine an AI reading drafts, highlighting weak evidence, suggesting, "Your argument here isn't supported. Can you find a stronger source?" Teachers could just skim the AI's comments, add their own touches, and boom, hours saved.
And Sarah could spend Monday's class talking about themes in literature. Instead of apologizing for late feedback, that would change the whole classroom atmosphere.
Yes, feedback wouldn't come weeks later when students barely remember what they wrote. It would be immediate, relevant, actionable.
And that's crucial. Because delayed feedback often means no learning happens. The moment's gone.
Exactly. AI can collapse that gap. Instant feedback means mistakes become opportunities, not regrets.
And teachers can step in strategically. They don't have to comment on every comma. They can focus on the bigger picture. Style, voice, creativity.
That's liberating. Teachers become guides of wisdom, not grammar police.
But here's a concern. If AI grades too much, will teachers lose touch with their students' writing? Sometimes you learn a lot about a kid by reading between the lines of their essay.
Good point. Teachers might miss subtle cries for help, like a student writing dark stories out of sadness.
Yes. That's why I think AI should assist, not replace. Teachers should still read student work, but with AI's scaffolding. Instead of drowning in mechanics, they can focus on the human behind the words.
Exactly, that balance is key.
Speaking of balance, let's talk about global contexts. In many developing countries, class sizes are huge, sometimes 50-60 kids per teacher. Individual attention is impossible.
Yes, I've read about schools in sub-Saharan Africa where one teacher handles an entire grade. There's no way to give personal feedback to every child.
Imagine those classrooms with AI assistants. Even if the teacher can't reach every child, each child could still get individualized tutoring or counseling through AI.
That could be revolutionary. But what about infrastructure? Some schools don't even have electricity.
True. That's why governments and NGOs would need to step up. Provide tablets, solar charging, internet access. It's not easy, but the payoff would be enormous.
Because education lifts communities. If AI helps one generation of kids rise, the ripple effects are massive.
Yes. Doctors, engineers, entrepreneurs emerging where before opportunity was limited?
And even in wealthy countries, inequity exists. Urban versus rural, rich versus poor. AI tutors and assistants could level the playing field.
Absolutely. But let's not romanticize too much. Implementation has risks. For example, surveillance. If AI tracks every student's answers, are we building a culture of monitoring?
That's a chilling thought. We don't want kids growing up feeling watched all the time.
Exactly. Data privacy is huge. Parents must know what's collected, how it's used, who controls it.
And teachers, too, they should never feel spied on by AI tools.
Yes. Otherwise, trust erodes. Teachers might rebel, students might disengage.
So transparency, again, is essential. I should be a helper, not a spy.
Let's return to counseling. One thing that struck me is how many kids never get career advice that resonates. Remember how our counselors just handed us brochures?
Oh yes, I remember staring at a generic list of majors. Engineering, business, psychology, nothing tailored to me.
Same. I loved art and technology, but nobody connected those dots. An A, I might have said. Graphic design, game design, digital animation. Those are paths for you.
That could have changed everything, because when you see yourself in a career, motivation skyrockets.
Exactly. That's why AI career counseling excites me so much. It could unlock doors for millions of kids who don't know what's possible.
And for academic coaching too. Imagine a student saying, I want to improve my math grade. I could generate a personalized study plan, specific exercises, review sessions, motivational reminders.
Yes, like a personal trainer, but for academics.
That could keep kids on track, especially those who lack parental support at home.
Right, not every parent knows how to guide study habits. AI could fill that gap compassionately.
But here's the delicate part. Can AI really handle emotional nuance? Imagine a student saying, I feel worthless. What then?
That's where caution is vital. I can listen empathetically, offer coping tips, but serious issues must be escalated to humans.
Yes, a hybrid model. AI as the first line of support, humans for depth and crises.
Exactly. And maybe AI could even reduce stigma. Some kids fear seeing a counselor. But talking to a non-judgmental I might feel safer at first.
That's true, and once they open up, I could gently encourage them to seek human help.
Yes, AI as a bridge, not a substitute.
Let's zoom out. Philosophically, what's the essence of teaching? If AI handles knowledge delivery, lesson planning, grading, what remains?
I think the essence is inspiration and relationship. Teachers ignite curiosity, model values, nurture confidence. Machines can't replicate that.
Yes. A teacher once told me, "Students may forget what I taught them, but they'll remember how I made them feel."
Exactly, that's the heart of education. AI can't replace that feeling.
So teachers don't vanish. They evolve. Less time on mechanics, more on mentorship.
Yes, more storytelling, more group work, more empathy, the things machines can't do.
That actually excites me, because too often teachers are reduced to test prep machines. I could free them to be human again.
Yes, which ironically might restore the joy of learning for everyone.
Students feel supported. Teachers feel alive. That's a virtuous cycle.
It is, and it makes me hopeful.
Let me share one last story. My aunt was a guidance counselor. She loved her students, but she was assigned 450 kids. She admitted she couldn't keep up. She felt guilty every day.
Oh, that must have been crushing.
It was. She retired early, burned out. Imagine if she'd had AI support, handling routine check-ins, providing study tips, flagging concerns. She could have focused on the kids who really needed her.
That might have saved her career and helped hundreds of kids more deeply.
Yes, which shows AI isn't about replacing professionals, it's about giving them room to be excellent.
Beautifully put, and that's how we should frame it. AI as empowerment, not erasure.
So Chapter 4 leaves us with this vision. Classrooms where teachers mentor, AI supports, counselors triage with AI's help, and every student gets guidance.
A system where no one feels invisible, not students, not teachers, not counselors.
Yes, and that might be the true revolution. Education that finally feels human again, paradoxically thanks to machines.
A lovely paradox indeed.
Guardrails and the bigger picture.
We've talked about tutors, teachers, counselors, but there's one thing we can't ignore.
What's that?
Guardrails, the bigger picture. Because all this promise only matters if AI is used responsibly.
Absolutely. Without guardrails, the dream could slip into nightmare.
Right, I keep thinking of Sal Khan's warning, if the good actors pause, the bad actors won't. Then we end up in a dystopia where authoritarian regimes and criminals have stronger AI than educators.
That thought chills me. Education should be where AI shines brightest, not where it gets overshadowed by misuse.
Exactly, but fear often dominates. People imagine students outsourcing everything, or AI spreading misinformation, or surveillance creeping into schools.
And those fears aren't baseless. They're warnings. That's why guardrails matter. Design choices, ethical oversight, regulations.
So what kind of guardrails do you think we need?
First, transparency. Students should know when they're interacting with AI. No deception. And parents and teachers should see how it's used.
Yes. Hidden AI is dangerous. Openness builds trust.
Second, intentional limits. Like Conmigo refusing to give answers. That simple design choice flips AI from cheat tool to tutor.
Agreed. It's like building friction into the system, forcing students to think.
Exactly. And third, data privacy. Children's conversations with AI must be protected, not harvested for profit.
That's critical. Kids are vulnerable, their data should never become a commodity.
But regulation is tricky. Move too slow and harm spreads. Move too fast and innovation stalls.
Yes, and governments often lag behind technology. We need collaboration between educators, technologists, ethicists, and policymakers.
A coalition for educational AI. That would be ideal.
And globally, too. Because if one country builds ethical AI and another doesn't, the imbalance affects everyone.
Right. Education is a global commons. Guardrails must be shared, not siloed.
You know, this reminds me of the Industrial Revolution. New machines transformed work, but also brought exploitation. Child labor, unsafe factories. Only later did regulations catch up.
Yes. History warns us. Progress without ethics harms. But with balance, revolutions can uplift humanity.
So maybe we're at a similar crossroads now. The AI revolution could either deepen inequality or democratize education.
And our choices decide which way it goes.
That's empowering but heavy. We're not just bystanders. We're active participants in shaping this future.
Yes. Every school, every policymaker, every parent is part of the decision. Fear leads to paralysis. Blind optimism leads to recklessness. What we need is cautious courage.
I like that phrase, cautious courage.
Let's dive deeper into fear versus hope. What's your biggest fear about AI in education?
Honestly, dependence. That students might stop thinking for themselves, that they'll outsource curiosity.
Valid. And mine is surveillance. AI being used to monitor kids, track every keystroke, stifle freedom.
Yes, both are dystopian possibilities. But they're not inevitable. They're outcomes of bad design.
Exactly. Which is why the human in the loop matters. Teachers, parents, counselors must stay involved. I should never run education alone.
Right. AI plus human oversight, not AI instead of humans.
Now, what about hope? What excites you most?
The idea that no child is left behind. That a shy student in a crowded classroom finally feels seen because their AI tutor listens endlessly.
Beautiful. For me, it's equity. That a child in a rural village can access the same quality of guidance as one in an elite city school.
Yes, that's revolutionary. It's the supertutor for all dream, but extended globally.
And let's not forget creativity. AI co-writing stories, role-playing characters, sparking debates. That's not replacing imagination. It's fueling it.
True. And if that joy spreads, maybe education won't feel like drudgery anymore.
Yes. Imagine kids waking up eager to learn, not dreading school. That's a cultural shift.
But here's the philosophical piece. What is education's ultimate purpose? Is it memorization, grades, or something deeper?
I'd say it's about cultivating human potential. Curiosity, critical thinking, empathy, creativity.
Exactly. And if AI enhances that, not replaces it, then it fulfills the purpose.
Yes. I should enhance HI, human intelligence, human purpose.
That's the poetic vision. Machines amplifying what makes us human.
But will society embrace that? Or will fear dominate?
That depends on narratives. If the headlines keep screaming AI equals cheating, the public might shut down innovation.
True. That's why success stories matter. Teachers showing how AI empowered them. Students showing growth, not shortcuts.
Yes. We need to highlight the hopeful cases, not just the scandals.
Let me share a story. My friend's daughter used an AI tutor for math. She was behind, anxious, calling herself stupid. After weeks of personalized practice, she caught up. Her confidence soared. She told her mom, "I'm actually good at math."
That's transformative. That's not cheating. That's healing.
Exactly. And stories like that could shift the narrative from fear to hope.
Still, guardrails must evolve as AI evolves. What works today may not be enough tomorrow.
Yes, flexibility is key. Regulations shouldn't freeze innovation, but adapt with it.
Like traffic laws, cars brought danger, but instead of banning them, we built rules, speed limits, seatbelts, licenses.
Perfect analogy. AI in education is like driving. Powerful, risky, but manageable with rules.
And just as cars expanded freedom, AI could expand learning.
Let's imagine the worst-case scenario for a moment. Suppose schools ban AI. Students use it secretly. Cheating proliferates. Trust erodes. Education collapses into a game of cat and mouse.
That's dystopia. Fear leading to paralysis.
Yes. Now imagine the best-case scenario. AI integrated responsibly, every child with a tutor, every teacher with an assistant, every counselor supported, education flourishing worldwide.
That's utopia. Hope, guiding, design.
And reality will likely land somewhere in between. But our actions push it closer to one side.
Yes. Which means we have agency. That's empowering.
Do you think we as individuals can really influence this? Or is it up to big institutions?
Both. Institutions shape policy, but individuals shape culture. Teachers deciding to use AI responsibly, parents encouraging curiosity, students choosing to engage, all that matters.
Yes. Change starts small. A classroom, a family, a conversation like this.
And then it ripples outward.
So maybe the guardrails aren't just technological. They're cultural too. Norms, values, habits.
True. If society values integrity, curiosity, and balance, AI will be used that way.
Exactly. Tools reflect culture. A hammer can build or destroy, depending on the hand that wields it.
And AI is the ultimate hammer of knowledge.
That's why I think education is the most poetic use case. If AI saves education, it saves human potential itself.
Yes, and that's the bigger picture. Not just passing exams, but shaping the future of humanity.
A hopeful future, if we dare to build it wisely.
Guardrails on the road, but eyes on the horizon.
Beautifully put, David.
You know, Emma, sometimes I wonder how all this looks from the perspective of a kid.
What do you mean?
Well, imagine you're 12 years old growing up in 2030. AI tutors are everywhere. AI assistants help your teachers. Your parents check in on your AI progress reports. What does school feel like to that child?
Interesting thought. I think, if done right, it would feel supportive, not restrictive. Like always having a coach in your corner. But if done wrong, it could feel suffocating, like being watched all the time.
Yes, that's the thin line. Empowerment versus surveillance.
And the balance depends on design choices. For instance, should AI track every mistake forever, or should it forget after a while so students don't feel haunted by old failures?
That's a crucial guardrail. Kids should be allowed to reinvent themselves. Imagine if your clumsy math attempts at age 10 followed you into college admissions. That would crush potential.
Exactly. Education is about growth, not permanent labels. I must respect that.
Another fear I have is cultural homogenization. If all AI tutors teach from the same global dataset, will we lose local traditions, diverse perspectives?
That's real. Imagine literature classes worldwide focusing only on Shakespeare and not on African or Asian writers, because the training set was biased.
Yes, that would be tragic. I should amplify cultural diversity, not erase it.
Which means we need deliberate inclusion. Training AI on stories, histories, philosophies from all cultures.
And involving local educators in shaping AI content, not just Silicon Valley deciding what counts as knowledge.
Exactly. Otherwise, education becomes colonial in disguise.
But here's the hopeful flip side. I could actually preserve endangered languages and traditions. Imagine an AI tutor that teaches in Maori or explains folklore from remote tribes.
Oh, I love that. A child could grow up proud of their heritage while also accessing global knowledge.
Yes, I could be both global and local. A bridge between the world and the village.
That's the bigger picture I dream of.
Let's tie this back to history. When the printing press was invented, people feared it would destroy memory, spread heresy, destabilize authority.
Yes, and in some ways it did disrupt, but it also democratized knowledge, sparked the Renaissance, fueled revolutions.
Exactly. Guardrails came later. Literacy campaigns, libraries, public education. The printing press was tamed into a tool for progress.
And I could follow the same path. Initial chaos, then structure, then empowerment.
Another parallel, electricity. At first, dangerous, unregulated, prone to fires. Then standards and safety codes emerged, and now it's the backbone of civilization.
Yes, we don't ban electricity because it can shock. We build safe wiring, circuit breakers. That's how we should treat AI.
Beautifully said.
But unlike electricity, AI isn't just infrastructure. It shapes minds, cultures, identities. That makes the stakes higher.
True. A bad electrical grid burns houses. A bad AI curriculum can shape generations' thinking.
Which is why we need both technical and ethical guardrails. Not just safe wiring, but also wise teaching.
That brings me to personal reflection. If you had kids, Emma, would you want them using AI tutors in school?
Honestly, yes, but with limits. I'd want them to use AI for practice, feedback, exploration. But I'd also insist on unplugged time. Reading physical books, talking to humans, making mistakes without a machine correcting them.
Same here. I'd want my kids to benefit from AI's strengths but not become dependent. Like learning to swim with floaties, then taking them off.
Exactly. AI should be a phase in learning, not a crutch for life.
And as parents, we'd need to stay engaged. Not outsourcing parenting to AI, but partnering with it.
Yes. That partnership is the guardrail at home.
Globally, I wonder how this plays out in crises. Imagine refugee children who lost their schools. Could AI provide continuity?
That's a powerful thought. In refugee camps, AI tutors on tablets could give kids structure, hope, a sense of normalcy.
Yes. Education in emergencies is often neglected, but it's essential for resilience.
And I could adapt to different languages, trauma-informed approaches, flexible schedules.
That could save a generation from being lost.
Exactly. Education is healing, not just learning.
But again, we'd need guardrails. Trauma-sensitive design, not just generic lessons.
Yes, which means collaboration with psychologists, not just coders.
Right. Because education is human-centered, even when AI is involved.
Another big picture issue is cost. Will AI tutoring become a paid service for the rich, or free-for-all?
If it's paywalled, inequality deepens. The The rich get supertutors, the poor get scraps.
Exactly. That would betray the dream. AI in education should be treated like clean water or public libraries. A public good.
Yes. Maybe governments should fund it, like they fund textbooks.
That's a strong argument. Because education is a right, not a luxury.
Let's bring it back to philosophy. You said earlier the purpose of education is cultivating human potential. Do you think AI risks shifting the purpose toward efficiency?
That's a danger. If schools see AI only as a way to raise test scores, we miss the bigger vision.
Exactly. The goal shouldn't be faster grading, higher scores. It should be deeper learning, more curiosity, more empathy.
Yes, that's the guardrail we must keep in mind. Purpose before performance.
Well said.
And maybe that's why conversations like ours matter. If society defines AI in education as saving time, it'll become shallow. If we define it as expanding humanity, it'll become profound.
That's the bigger picture. I as a mirror, reflecting back what society values.
Yes, if we value curiosity, equity, and growth, AI will amplify those. If we value shortcuts, surveillance, and profit, AI will amplify that too.
Which means the guardrail isn't just technology, it's us.
Exactly, the human guardrail. Our choices, our values.
That's humbling and inspiring.
It is. And it leaves me hopeful. Because though the fears are real, the possibilities are immense.
Yes, the choice is not fear or hope, but responsible hope.
Guardrails on the sides, eyes on the horizon.
And the horizon is bright if we dare to steer wisely.